Good morning. Ah, damn, I forgot to look at the time. It is 7:41. I had a decent sleep, but still a little sleepy. Hmm. I don't really remember my dream that much. I've been having a problem not remembering my dreams recently. Um, I don't know. There was something about I think I like interacted with my mom at some point and my dad, and then also I don't know. I did something in regards to some sort of. I think there was like a World of Warcraft like leveling, mining, and engineering or something. I don't know, but yep. I'm just trying to think of what the plan is. I think I want to build that Lego stuff. Um, I I guess I'm gonna hang out with my buddy today. I'm guessing at like 2 or 3. So I'll probably end up doing that like food stuff I talked about the other day. Get some veg at the Piggly Wiggly. The fact that there's a store that's like something like that is so funny to me. Um, so I'll get my veg and whatnot there. I do need to go to it Target because I need to get my what's it called? Maybe I'll get my veg at Target. Uh, I want to get a B12 supplement. I just keep feeling like I'm getting some eggs every like couple days or a week, but I don't think that's enough for the B12. So, uh, I don't think I need to worry about the D3 because I'm getting sun like no other. Um, yeah. So I think my initial goal. Oh, by the way, my feet didn't hurt today when I went to bed, which was great. Um, because I did walk like an hour or more. I think I might do some walking in the mall again. Maybe I'll do a lap in the mall, and then that's like it's like 40 minutes of walking down and back for the mall, and then maybe another like 20 or 30 minutes of walking inside the mall. So that seems good. I definitely want to build up my walking tolerance so that I don't have an overwalking issue again. I think that it was just because I had slowly like reduced my walking because I was resting, but like obviously I want to rest, um, but it's also like I'd like to build up that tolerance. So, um, I guess I probably should also plan out what um what I'm gonna do with my buddy because he doesn't know, even though he's lived here for so long, he doesn't know anything about the area aside from like history stuff. So I kind of want to go to this aquarium that he kept talking about. So maybe we'll do that today. Uh, Sounded like fun. The Apparently he said the aquarium is really cool. So hmm. Is there anything else? I think I'm going to. I do need to actually. So I have the videos all set up, and I just need to make cover photos, and then or make thumbnails rather, and then I can just upload them, which won't take too long. But I think I should probably do that at some point. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to actually upload here though. It's just the internet's not amazing. So I think I might wait on the actual uploads. Uh, I said I have until Friday. I kind of want to upload. I don't know. Maybe I'll try this morning. Okay. Well, either way, I guess I'll talk to you guys a little bit later. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in a second. Bye. Hey guys, it is 8:50 and man, a lot's happened. I've been hanging out with my friend, and where do I even begin with my friend? I think I've figured out the underlying issue. And on top of that, um, I kind of poked the bear a few times, and I could feel that, like, whoa, okay, there's a lot there. Um, and I just don't think he's, like, ready to. I don't know, like, deal with or face the things that I was kind of bringing up. And I kind of examined it from different angles. And okay, so first, I went to the mall. Mall's great, and so I'm just gonna do day stuff and food stuff, and then I'll talk about that after. So went to the mall. Mall was fine. Ended up going and watching a movie called Chow or something. It was like an animated film. Because there's a movie theater right behind the mall. I'm like, oh, that's sick. So
Yeah, so that was really cool. Um, so I watched that. Then I went and got the stuff I needed at Target, and then I headed over to uh, the aquarium with my friend. The aquarium was very small, but I will say they had a bald eagle there that was like one of its wings was clipped or something, and so it couldn't fly. And I don't know. I was looking at it. It was looking at me, and like I just I had this feeling that maybe I could heal it, which is fucking insane. But I just, that's just a feeling I got. And then in the same moment that I felt that, the eagle like literally cawed at me. Uh because it was looking at me and then it cawed at me as I was starting to like turn around and I looked back and it just cawed at me again and then went silent and just looked. I was like, fuck. Like obviously, what the fuck am I supposed to do with that? Um and then I was like second guessing myself and I was like, I don't fucking know. Like, and so I just ended up like leaving. But I noticed like pretty much all the animals that I was like walking near, once they kind of saw my presence in some way or felt it, they definitely were more drawn to the section that I was in. And we're kind of like getting closer. It was a very strange experience for me because it was like it was so funny. There was like a little stingray like pool outside, and the woman who was like working with the stingrays said, "Oh, sorry, I just fed them, so you're probably not gonna be able to pet them or anything because they're just gonna be like under the water, so there's no way you're gonna be able to get them to like come over." And I just stand next to the water, and they just literally just start swimming up right next to the glass, and like are like looking at me and like then they swim past and then another one comes up and then another one comes up and they're all like coming up and the woman actually was like what the fuck is going on and like started walking towards us. Like you could tell it was like there was something anomalous happening. What have they done? And then we just kept walking and and then she kind of went back to her post. She's like, oh, whatever. But I was just like that happened so many times, and I'm like, this is so weird. This like animal thing. Um, and then like the my buddy has three dogs, and the three dogs, um, they bark when everyone comes in or whatever, and then afterwards, um, you know, they just wanted little pets, so they keep coming up to me and letting me know that they want their little pets, and it's like I could tell they're all good dogs, even though the one dog is really smart and like totally acts out. I don't know why. There's probably some deep seated reason why this dog is fucking pissed at the family. um, but like the dog basically just if he doesn't have a diaper inside, he will pee all over the place, uh, purposefully, from what they've said. Um, and so it's just like I don't know. There's just these things where I'm noticing them, and individually, the squirrel thing, the zoo or the aquarium thing, the dogs, the fucking like every time I walk past a dog Um, sometimes they're like really just locked in on something and so they don't really pay attention. But a lot of times I'll look at them and they'll like get excited and want to come like closer to me. Now, yeah, dogs do that, right? But the same thing happens with random like birds and the squirrels and fucking it's just like at a certain point I have to recognize that there's something specifically going on with me, and I don't know how much of it is like me and how much of it is the specific animals or whatever. But that's just one little small thing. Food wise, so I just wanted to mention that because it's just something I'm observing, and I don't know if that's going to show up more in the future or less. Who knows? Um, but I I ended up going and getting some just like stir fried vegetables and potatoes as my first meal at the food court in the mall. It was fine, like decidedly like a food court meal, what you normally expect from a food court. Um, and then later in the day, me and my buddy went to this Thai restaurant, and there was like a stir fry, like, oh right, I got drunk noodles. It was like a drunk tofu noodle like dish, effectively. But they had like stir fry and they had like pho and all sorts of other like food. They had some curries. So they were just kind of a mix of like whatever you want. They probably have something. So that was good. It was tasty. I got like I dropped a few things on my shirt and I'm just like, oh my gosh, that's annoying. But yeah. So I did that, and then the kind of main thing is I was talking with my friend, and you know the spoiler alert, the like back end, without regurgitating the whole conversation. What I found out is effectively he is a materialist through and through. Doesn't believe in God. Basically thinks that this is all effectively just random, and that there is a multiverse out there, but that we have no interaction with it. And I started noticing a pattern because, I brought up spirituality in the past. And he's like, well, yeah, well, I don't believe it. And I'm like, that's fine. You don't have to believe it. I've had these experiences and they're wild. And I don't know what to tell you. And he's like, yeah, well, I mean, I don't believe in spirituality. I'm like, that's fine. And then, he's talked to me a few times about like this thing kept popping up that I noticed and it was bothering me. He kept saying that the diagnosis is he was talking about he's like, okay, I got diagnosed for ADHD, I got diagnosed for like the stage 1 autism, which is like the most high functioning autism that you can get like diagnosed with. It used to be I think called like Asperger's or whatever, but like now that's politically correct to say stage 1 or whatever it's called. And then there's dyslexia. And so every time we would be talking about something, he would refer to, yeah, well, I can't do that because of autism, or I can't do that because of ADHD, or I can't do that because of this. And it was like he used the diagnosis as like a means to say it's okay that he is doing a certain thing because, well, I have autism, I have ADHD. And it was bothering me because it was taking away the agency he has. And, when I started kind of bringing this up lightly, and then I just said it because I'm like, okay, well, I don't think he's like getting what I'm trying to get at. I said, hey, effectively, you've decided that because, um, some guy that you saw, a psychologist or a couple psychologists, and then some doctors said, well, you can't do anything about it. You have autism. Congratulations. Now there's nothing you can do about it. This is just how you will be for the rest of your life. Um, he basically was like, oh, okay. I guess I'm just going to be that way for the rest of my life. I don't know anything about this. So he appealed to the authority of like, well, someone told me this, so I guess that's fine because that they know more than I do. And not me as in me, but I'm saying me as in him, right? Like he believes what he's told. And I'm like, oh, his eyes are completely shut in the like scale that I talked about, where it's like he's in eyes shut mode. He just listens to what people tell him that have authority. So he listens to his parents. If his parents tell him to do something, he'll do it. If the doctors tell him to do something, he'll do it. If the doctors say there's no cure, there's no cure. If the doctors say you're going to be a cripple for life, you're going to be a cripple for life. And, it's kind of like this, we talked about the underlying thing of like, what is autism at its base? And the way he described it was like, when he was a kid, things were really overwhelming because he had too much signal. So, because he had too much signal, the kid's self was like, whoa, too much information, overloaded. We need to block everything out. And so now he's living in this muffled, blocked state. And he's like, yeah, well, that's you can't undo that because it's autism, and the doctor said that you can't undo it. And I was like, you just said you as a kid did this to yourself because this was your coping mechanism. Why can't you undo it? Well, because the doctors say you can't undo it. I'm like, you described yourself doing this thing. I don't know about any other autistic people or whatever it is. And I'm not saying that, you know, autism is like incurable or curable or whatever it is. I'm not trying to say any descriptive statements here. I'm just saying what you said, which was you were overwhelmed as a child, you blocked out what happened, muffled your emotions, and now you live in muffled emotion state. So this is a wound slash defensive coping thing that your inner child did. You can fix that. You can heal that. And it was like, but I couldn't even get to the you can heal your inner child part. It was like he went on full defensive mode of like, no, that's like you telling a crippled person to stand up. Just use your legs, bro. You can just use your legs. And I'm like, that's not even close to the same thing I'm talking about. And then I asked him, I'm like, have you even tried to think about doing internal work on yourself? And again, it was like, went over his head. And again, it was part of the defensive stuff where I don't think he was just ready to hear any of that. And that's where I was like, oh, I poked the bear. Like, I understand. And so this was before I realized he was a materialist. So I was like, okay, well, I need to figure out more of why he believes what he believes. Um, because at this point, I'm like curious as to like, okay, he doesn't see that he has any agency over his life. He has no dreams, no aspirations. He literally is like, yeah, I don't really care. And it's because he just doesn't feel anything. He's very numb. And the few things that come in are very muted. And so, of course, when you're in that state, yeah, it's going to be like, that's a shitty life to feel. And so you're going to be looking for thrills and look for things that like spike the emotion, right? And I was like, bro, you're looking externally. You're not looking internally. You're doing all the external stuff. And you're never going to heal yourself by looking for something externally. Only you can do your own work. And again, I think it was just too soon. Um, and so we kind of just, I realized I was like, okay, I need to just back off because clearly, like, I understand more of like what's going on with him. And I just, you know, again, I'm not trying to like force him to like see something or change. I'm just trying to see where he's at because it's like I couldn't figure out him for a while because I'm like what's the underlying thing here? Uh, from it's like a for me thing to understand. Obviously, I want to help him, right? But I've realized at this point that I can't help him currently, or maybe me just being there helps, and me embodying my like existence will help him. And I hope I don't know if he watches the channel. Um, if he does, that's cool. If he doesn't, that's also fine. But like, it was kind of like more layers of the onion were being peeled back. And we had a talk about like, okay, well, what do you think about aliens? What do you think about like, what is reality to you? What do you think is happening? And that's when we got to materialist, and we also got to like purely in the like, you can't trust the government, but also the government, you can trust that the government is always lying. And I'm like, okay, well, you know, when you live in a situation where like you both can't trust the government, but then anything the government says that could say that something exists, well, you can't trust that either. Um, but you can trust that the government is saying they always lie. So that's perfect. Because then the one thing you can trust about the government is that they can't be trusted, which is like okay, well, and I was like, okay, well, what kind of evidence would you need for an alien to like for you to just suddenly believe that there's aliens? Now, again, I'm not saying prescriptively like there are or there aren't. I'm just more picking the brain, right? Um, because dude, I've been down the logic rabbit hole, so like I know where he's at. Like I've now recognized where he's at. And it feels to me he would have to have some massive spiritual thing happen to him directly for him to like suddenly get that there's more than just physical reality. Otherwise, I don't think he'll ever I don't want to say ever. I don't think in this lifetime that he will truly understand that there's more, you know. Um, and there's also kind of another thing, which is it is easier for his mind to not be overwhelmed by reality. And I pointed this out to him, and he was kind of confused at first, and then he's like, I don't think I do that. But I just kind of saw it in real time where it was like, okay. Uh, and I think this also, I think there's, he mentioned some sort of past event where he kind of went through a event with some sort of religious figure of some kind, or maybe they lied to him, or they tried to you know logic their way through some sort of bullshit argument or whatever it was. But he's just like not. He's like, I'm not a fan of religion, and then he wrapped in spirituality into that, where it's like a lot of us know that religion and spirituality are kind of like neighbors, but they're not necessarily tied together. You can have a spiritual experience without ever being religious. You can be religious without ever having a spiritual experience. Sometimes you can have both, right? And you can also believe in a higher power without being religious. Religion is more of the doctrine, which is fine. For some people, it's incredibly helpful. And it lets them tap into spirituality in a way that's structured. And that's good. There's also a lot of really beautiful things that religion can do. There's great community building and all of that stuff. However, religion does have its kind of limitations. Um, and so, and then spirituality is kind of the opposite, where it's too free, where you can get into all sorts of shit, and it's like, what's real, what's not real, who the fuck knows? Um, you can have people that act like they're real, but they were actually not, and so it's like, yeah. But anyway, so my point with all of this is I got a really good read on kind of the core thrust of this whole thing for him, which is effectively whether he has autism, ADHD, uh, you know, dyslexia. These diagnoses don't actually matter. What matters is how he responds to the diagnosis. And to him, it was relief. Oh, well, now I can just blame the diagnosis on every problem that I experience when it comes to these things in my life. And there's nothing wrong with him doing that, but that just means that he's giving away his agency to a diagnosis. And when you do that, you limit what you can do in life because you've decided that there is no help, there is no way to get out of it. And you just accept it. And it doesn't help that he's depressed and that he he just didn't want to be here, right? So it's kind of like there's a lot of deep pain there, and he has a sea of suppressed stuff, suppressed emotions. I can feel it. And the moment that there's some like poking and prodding that goes on. You can see immediately how things get switched up, and he gets like incredibly cerebral and is like kind of his um, logic is another shield to protect him. I know because I literally went through the same thing. And, you know, well, I'm unique because I have this. I'm unique because I have that. So it's both like I'm unique and I'm also unhelpable. So I might as well just twiddle my thumbs and, you know, do nothing, enjoy the fact that I have a great family, and just exist. And look, that's his. It's okay that he wants to do that. And there's nothing wrong with him wanting to just not do any of that, to do any of the work. Um, it just kind of means that like this life is, if he doesn't do work uh, internally, he's going to just kind of continue down this path of effectively, you know, not needing to, he doesn't need to get a job. He can just be with his family, and that's okay. Um, but he will always kind of struggle with this muted um, emotion state because at the end of the day, he isn't addressing the elephant in the room, which is internal work. And it doesn't require you to be spiritual. And it's like I never even really got there with him because it's like the thought that he has agency over having emotions freaked him out. And he logicked his way out of it and was like, I don't want to talk about this anymore. And I'm like, no problem. We're not going to talk about it. I was still curious at the time, so I talked about other stuff like the alien stuff, and I tried to figure out his perspective. But yeah, it's like, okay, I get it. And it's hard to, like, I know, it's like, I know what can be done to help, but it's so much work. He's in a perfect position to do it too. Like, you know how I took like 10 years to do all my healing? He literally could just do nothing for however long it is and do the inner healing. He has such a great opportunity to do it. And but it's like he didn't have the void experience I did, right? The catalyst that basically knocks some like awareness into him. And so of course he's not gonna choose that if he doesn't have any sort of reason to choose it. And I could say, well, in 10 years you're gonna be so glad that you did it, but like, who the fuck would like say, well, I am depressed and I am doing all these things, but like, yeah, fuck it, I'll just upend my whole life and do this for 10 years, right? And yeah, so it's just like it's hard because I do really care about him. But again, now that I understand, it's like, okay, this is not something that me saying something can change. This is something that he has to internally realize. And unless he gets it himself, no one's going to convince him otherwise. And when you deal with someone like this, the best thing to do is to just, okay, no problem. Yeah, I accidentally doxed a name of a friend. So, uh, similar to a buddy of mine that basically just, he struggles through a lot. And there's nothing I can really do to help him because, again, I can point at what can be done, steps that you can take, all of this stuff. But if the person believes that they can't be helped, then there's nothing that can be done. Our thoughts are so powerful. We create our reality. So it's like, if we have a lack mindset, well, of course we're going to be lacking. If we have an abundant mindset, we're going to be abundant. If we have a mindset that we can't be fixed, then we can't be fixed. If we have a mindset that we can be fixed, then we can be fixed. It's that simple. Can we be loved? Great. Can we not be loved? Hell, it's like, it's the same thing. It's this is how our minds work. So, and you can't tell anyone else that this is how it is, because if they haven't experienced it, they won't understand. And that's okay. That's just part of like life. You just kind of have to learn it over time. So, yeah, anyway. So, I guess I'm just learning some pretty valuable lessons about, like, now that I recognize kind of where this friend stands, um, I this is what I'm hoping to change, is embodying. I don't fucking know what's gonna happen. So I'm doing this channel because I I don't know. I don't have the answers. I don't have a plan. But I know that things are going to work out for me. Call it God, call it angels, call it spirit team, call it the divine, call it the one, call it source. I don't care what you call it. There is there is more that is working with me to steer me towards people that need me to tell them stuff. Towards, the guy that I met randomly at the mall yesterday. Like, I don't doubt that, like, he was praying at that very moment. He literally had his head down, fucking hands together, like, and we literally just lock eyes. Like, and I felt it. I felt what he was like. I felt his experiences. So it's like, I knew that, like, yeah, I needed this. That's why I was there. Yeah, there's probably some other reasons I was there, but that was the main reason I was drawn there. And surprise, surprise, that's probably the reason I'm in this hotel or this motel, right? Because I wouldn't have the same set of experiences in order to interact with that guy and maybe other people. I don't know. I don't know if, like, me interacting with the front lady downstairs and getting um the the first aid kit, like, I don't know if that's actually going to do anything, but, like, I'm just being myself. I'm just doing what I can. And, you know, I just, I love everyone, and I want to make the world a better place one person at a time. And that's all I can do. Getting a little emotional talking about this, but it's like, I don't know. I I just know that things are going to work out the way they're supposed to. And, I'm going to run into the person that I've been talking about. I don't know when, but that's okay. That's, Michael's kind of joked about you know, it's all hush hush, secret agent stuff. I'm like, yeah, I get it. I get it. Like, it's actually just so funny listening to like having the angels be so serious. It's just like, oh man. And then Michael is very much like, I would have thought that Michael would be like the serious one. I'm the like serious archangel, and it's like, no, he's just really like cheerful and kind and playful, uh, which I totally didn't expect when interacting with him. It's just like, yeah, he just vibes. He's really cool. Um, but yeah, I don't know. It's like these moments are all so important because I don't know. It's like I don't think that the impact on when people look back on my journey, I don't think it would have the same impact if I knew what the outcomes were going to be. You know, we talk about the trust fall stuff, right? It's like it's not even just a trust fall with the universe. It's like I'm building a trust fall bridge where each step is another trust fall with the universe where I don't know if I'm going to fall. I don't know how things are going to turn out. And yeah, it's just sometimes it's really scary not knowing. And sometimes I'm just really leaning into it and I'm just closing my eyes and I'm just like, okay, you've got it. And but I'm still doing it. I'm still walking. I'm like most way across the bridge. Uh, you know, each step is still as scary as it ever has been, but I'm just walking step by step. And it's like I know I've done the healing internally. People can feel it when they interact with me. I know. And they may not know exactly what they feel, but I can just tell that like my presence is important to help. So I'm just going to keep going. And maybe I'm not going to help my friend in the way that I initially thought I was going to help him. Maybe just me existing is helping him because, he mentioned how much of a different perspective I have compared to him. So maybe just hearing my perspective helps him in some way. I've pointed out a lot to him, and it's also possible that subconsciously he'll just start thinking about it. And maybe one day he'll come through an experience and he'll think back on our conversations, and maybe that'll be helpful in some way. I don't know. I hope that's the case. If it's not, that's also fine. Like, everyone has their free will. So, okay, it's like 9:30, so I probably should get going, but yeah, I appreciate like the experiences I've had and the experiences I'm going to have. So, yeah. All right. Have a good night, everyone. I'll see you all tomorrow. Bye.